Well, hot off a pretty solid result, we have the CEO of Boom Logistics here to walk us through where the company finds itself now and, importantly, where it's headed. Ben Pierre, welcome to AusBiz and AusBiz Capital. Great to have you here with us. Look, one standout feature of this most recent result is the real emphasis and the wins that you're getting on the board when it comes to these renewable contracts. Is that because it's a higher margin business? Or was there some other strategic rationale behind it to move away from some of those more legacy contracts?
Yeah, thank you, Nadine. Look, it was certainly our expectation to invest in growth sectors and more profitable sectors. The win in renewable energy sectors require high-end and specialized equipment where we could get better value for our investment. So we've diversified our investment, we've diversified our exposure, as we were heavily tilted towards the resources, and particularly in maintenance. So the renewable energy sector was important to us to get involved in. We've reinvested all the assets into new assets to be able to get into this sector, but also where we saw the other opportunities to diversify the business away from heavy capitalized investment by bringing in skills such as mechanical and electrical trades, where that allows us to actually not only erect the wind turbines, but also do the electrical and mechanical work to bring the turbines to being fully commissioned. And that's where we're seeing the value and the better returns for us is in the diversification, but also making sure that our capital is invested in higher growth and better profitable sectors.
Yeah, Ben, I don't expect you to comment on the budget in detail, but just because we're in the wake of the budget, with this government putting an emphasis on clean energy, when it comes to the policy landscape in Australia, the investment landscape in Australia when it comes to clean energy, are you positive and optimistic that the renewables sector will continue to grow?
Look, I am positive in the fact that Australia's invested a lot of money into it and a lot of infrastructure. There are necessity for Australia to continue to invest and continue into the renewables. And as part of that will come the maintenance phase. So we are already starting to see big maintenance programs coming into existing infrastructure. The infrastructure being built now is even taller, bigger. And there will be a balance as to how Australia will power itself to the future. But certainly from the short to mid terms, call it 6 to 10 years, there will continue to be a growth in construction in the renewables. And when you're looking at private investments like mining, who are starting to build wind turbines on their sites and in the regions where they operate, we can certainly see that there is still a lot of growth in that sector, and as such, we have invested and will continue to invest in it.
Now, on the opposite side of the spectrum, you've got more of the traditional industries, and that includes doing work with some of the big miners. What is your sense as to the strength in the mining space here in Australia? Are you still seeing a lot of that work coming through, even though we've got this slowdown happening in China?
Yes, look, production will remain, and we're seeing the geopolitical events happening in the world. There's going to be a strong need for what Australia has got to offer when it comes to natural resources. We're producing more and more. And we're quite comfortable. The price of resources of the commodities is one thing, but the necessity to produce and the world being reliant on this type of resources will continue to see Australia playing a major part. Now when it comes to construction, are we gonna is the growth will stop a little bit. Certainly in this current market, but the production will remain, and we can see still, some fairly good results coming out of the tier one miners. A bit softer, but still fairly comfortable. And I don't see how things will will change. We see big investment being made in different commodities such as copper, for example. So whilst lithium and nickel, were softer and at difficult times, we see other commodities, popping up and having a strong need around the world.
Now, Ben, you say that you'd like to invest in markets where Boom is underrepresented. What are those markets, and how do you plan to do so?
Look, the renewable sector was certainly one of them. We've looked at the wind, and we've done that. We've diversified. We've looked at the type of equipment that would get us to a comfortable position. There is a strong push now to bring that power back into the grid with the transmission line work, all the interconnectors on the East Coast that will come into the West Coast as well. So we will be investing in the right equipment and diversifying the equipment and the service offering in this sector as well. Whilst we remain open, we've just created a partnership with one of the world's largest player in the offshore wind industry as well. So we're not looking at buying offshore ships to build this, but there is all the investment and the work to be done onshore with the logistics work and the build of those offshore wind farms. So we are very much looking at every opportunity where we can see we're going to get better return for our investment.
Final question, Ben. Can you just shed some further light on the share buyback into 2025 and other capital management initiatives that we'll see and support that closing of the gap between NTA and the share price?
Yeah, look, it's a reoccurring question, I guess. Look, for now, we are comfortable with the share buyback and what we've done to date. We have a buyback in place. The AGM resolutions to give the flexibility to upside the buyback has been voted up to issue more equity if it is appropriate. So I guess the board and the management team also continue to review how we invest our money. Sorry to say, but we're currently a very cheap stock. We probably valued at a half NTA, and investing in ourselves is something that we think is good. We've seen the improvement in the EPS already since we've started the program. We have a policy, and we're quite comfortable with continuing it this way.